Welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a pro-metabolic homemade marmalade.
So really quick before we get to the recipe, I just want to go over a couple of the health benefits of marmalade. Now some of you might be familiar with marmalade. It's an old traditional style recipe, something maybe your grandparents made, maybe something you don't know how to make. Maybe you're even wondering, why would we suggest consuming something that's potentially so sugary? Aren't jams and jelly way too high in the glycemic index, or just too high in sugar? And I just kind of want to debunk some of these misconceptions and just basically point out that this is a very potent health food and has very medicinal effects. So I don't want to say too much, I want to keep it brief. But first and foremost, let's cover the fruit content, or the fructose content. That's the fruit sugar in this. So people don't realize that not all sugars are created equally. There's this sort of overly simplified idea circulating on the internet that all sugar is sugar, and that's just simply not true. Any chemist or physiologist will tell you that that's completely untrue, and that different sugars metabolize differently based on the polymers that they contain. And fructose, in very simple terms or very briefly, is actually very easily metabolized. So it doesn't actually require much insulin at all to be metabolized. In fact, a lot of fruit is completely non-insulinogenic, meaning that your liver doesn't have to expend energy to metabolize it, and your pancreas doesn't have to produce a lot of insulin to drive that sugar into the cell, which is a good thing. And the truth is, a piece of whole wheat bread is significantly more, about 100 times more insulinogenic than fruit, and fruit sugar specifically. Now keep in mind that pure fructose is not the same as the fructose you'll find in whole fruit, or making something like a whole fruit jam or jelly or marmalade. This is because fruit also contains other important cofactors like magnesium, like potassium, and a lot of the electrolytes, which are also essential for the proper metabolism or metabolization of that sugar. And it's probably important that I point out that a lot of the bad rap or bad PR that sugar gets is actually due to people sharing studies about starch and blaming the effects of starch on sugar. So many times, countless different times, I've read people's studies that they're sharing saying that sugar does this thing or that thing, or it's generally bad and unhealthy, and the studies that they're sharing are actually just talking about pure starch and not sugar. So aside from being less insulinogenic than other forms of sugar, fructose also happens to be very thermogenic. It stimulates the production of the thyroid hormone. It acts very much like thyroid hormone in the body, having a thermogenic effect. And fructose replenishes liver glycogen about 500% more efficiently than glucose and sucrose. And liver glycogen is the basic liver energy that your liver uses to activate or convert T4 into T3. That's the inactive form of thyroid hormone into the active form. And about 80% of the active thyroid hormone is actually converted by the liver. Now, in addition to it being a generally beneficial source of healthy sugars or healthy carbohydrates, there is a special compound, a flavonoid, that is in the peel, primarily in the peel of oranges, but you're going to find it in most citrus fruits, and that is a compound or flavonoid known as naringenin. Now, generally speaking, naringenin is a potent anti-inflammatory because it inhibits a lot of the inflammatory pathways like the COX-2 or cyclooxygenase 2 pathway. It also inhibits the synthesis of the inflammatory prostaglandins, amongst many other pro-inflammatory substances or mediators. In addition to being a powerful anti-inflammatory, it is also a powerful antioxidant, and there's about 100 different studies I could share about its anti-cancerous effects, specifically for skin cancer, lung cancer, liver and kidney cancers. So all in all, it's a potent antioxidant, and the best source of it is in the peel of the oranges. So marmalade is a very medicinal food, as you can see, but I'm gonna stop here because we're gonna make a more in-depth video on the health benefits of naringenin later on. So let's just get over onto Noelle, where she'll teach you how to make it.
So the first step that we're going to do is take 14 oranges, organic preferably, and wash them very, very well, cut them in half, and juice them. Now once you're finished cutting your oranges, we're going to begin juicing them. This is the juicer that we have. It's a citrus press. It's very fast at juicing things, and we'll link it to the description box below. Now remember to save the peels in a clean bowl because this is what we're going to use to make the marmalade. So we're going to save about a half a cup to go into the marmalade, but the rest of the juice you can use for breakfast and for any time. So the next step is going to be that we're going to gut our oranges. So we're going to remove the pulp and it's going to leave us just with the peel. So you can gut the orange with a spoon or you can use a small knife. I like to use a knife. It's a pretty tedious task and it goes much quicker with the knife. The next step is we're going to take our peels and slice them very thin and into little tiny cubes. Now you can use a food processor for this as well, but I prefer to do it by hand because it's more accurate. Once you have all of your peels cut up into little tiny cubes, we're going to put it into a pot and cover it with water. Now we're going to turn on the stove to a low heat. We don't want it to boil, we just want it to simmer. And then we're going to take our orange juice and pour it over the orange peels. Now we're just gonna leave it for about an hour and an hour and a half to let it simmer and cook down those orange peels. During this cooking process, you're actually going to be extracting the pectin, which is going to make it into a jelly. Now don't worry about the pectin because at the same time as you're extracting that pectin, you're also extracting all those highly beneficial flavonoids like the naringenin that Nick was talking about. Now that the orange peels have been cooking down for about an hour and a half, I'm going to add 3 cups of organic cane sugar. Now this is the ratio that you would want to use in order to get 32 ounces of jelly. Once you've added your sugar and stirred it thoroughly, you're going to want to cook it down for about 4 hours, stirring occasionally. So keep the heat very low because you don't want the sugar to crystallize and burn. Okay, so it's been cooking down for about 3.5 hours, and as you can see, it's already beginning to get thicker and more jelly-like. So I'm going to lower the heat even more, let it cook for another half an hour, and then let it sit to cool. Now that we've let the jelly cool down, we're going to put it into a mason jar that you can cover and put it in the fridge for storage. As you can see, now that it's cooled down, it's actually thickened up quite a bit, and once we put it in the fridge, it will become a real jelly. That's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to our channel. And if you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, you can find our Instagram and our blog in the description box below.